Greetings, Legionnaires! Just wanted to stop by here quick and give you my thoughts on Far Cry 5, or at least my preliminary thoughts. It's been a very busy week here. I've been playing Sea of Thieves, and I did a review on that, but I wanted to get into this for those who are kind of on the fence about this game. Now, I'm an old hand when it comes to Far Cry. I started with Far Cry 2, played 3 and 4, and now we're up to 5. I skipped Primal, and there's a few others in there, and I did play Blood Dragon, which was, I think it was an add-on to 3, I think? Something like that. Anyway, so I'm pretty well-versed when it comes to Far Cry. So, if you're not familiar with Far Cry at all, it's a first-person shooter that's set in an open world, and it usually, from each numbered segment, moves to a completely different space. So, 2 was set in Africa, 3 was set on like a tropical island, 4 was in Nepal, and now 5 is in Montana, Middle America, which is pretty different for a AAA game to do, but I kind of appreciate that. We'll get to that in a second, though. Basically, what you do is you're usually a one-man or woman army, and you get to go up against some sort of tyrannical ruler and kill everybody in your path. And if you're like me, you like to co-op it up and have a buddy by your side. So in 4, you could do that, and now 5 as well. I'm not sure if 3 had that, but pretty much all the campaign you can play in co-op, which is really sweet because in 4, it was mostly the side activities, but it seems like 5 is kind of letting you take on the role together, as it were. So when you go into cutscenes, it's like you both see the same things. But that's really cool. I really enjoy that. But Far Cry is just a fun time. It is just a pure kind of action game. You're blowing stuff up all the time. You're killing these guys. There's cultists. That's who you're fighting. In this one, they're kind of led by this, prophet, as it were, or something. And he has turned most of the town and most of the county of Hope County in Montana, against you, and they've kind of barricaded themselves off from the rest of the world, so you're kind of trapped in there as a deputy, and you have to kind of fight your way out and take them all down. Serve your own style of justice. You tried to do it the right way, now you gotta do it the correct way, as it were. Anyway, I really enjoy Far Cry games. I'll say that up front. They're games that are unapologetically violent and brutal and fast-paced, but I really appreciate that about them. The stories have been sometimes hit or miss. It usually revolves around how good the villain is, and I'm happy to say that the villains in this one are pretty creepy and people you want to bring down or bring to justice. They are weirdos, and they are not good people, and it makes it that much easier to pull the trigger, especially against their little cultist underlings. So a lot of the game, you'll be kind of going around clearing outposts and, moving or pushing back this cult and taking them down, kind of taking apart their infrastructure and working your way up, kind of taking out their lieutenants and stuff like that. If anyone's familiar with Ghost Recon, especially Ghost Recon Wildlands, there's going to be a lot of things in this game that remind you potentially of that kind of the co-op nature if you want it, but just big open world, kind of taking things at your leisure, doing whatever you want in whatever order. But this, thankfully, has a lot of variety as far as mission types go, which I really appreciate. It doesn't feel like there's just 2 or 3 things you're doing all the time. Yeah, some of the big things like taking down an outpost, that's kind of like one of the biggest things. One of the things I love the most, because you can approach it in a lot of different ways. You go and, guns blazing, take everybody down that way, but that'll trigger alarms, send in more guys, or you try to be quiet about it, try to take out some guys, take out the alarms, and try to be a little more stealthy. That's what I like to do. Usually the latter turns quickly into the former, but that's okay. But there's a bunch of different types of missions, and I don't want to spoil them here, but a lot of them have to do with, saving other people in the town and having special missions about that, saving hostages, and if, like, for instance, if there's 3 or 4 hostages around in an area, you have to save them. You can't be spotted before that, so you can't go in guns blazing, so they kind of have these combat puzzles, which I really appreciate, too. A lot of exploration and kind of being rewarded for that exploration. So if you kind of go around into these houses and stuff, you might find a safe, and in the beginning of the game you might have to use these kind of remote explosives to open up the safe, and you lose half the money in there or whatever the goods are in there. But later on you can get lock picking, you can open that up, and then you get all the money, and that feels good. It feels like, hey, you're rewarded for doing this. The guns, there's plenty of guns. A lot of it seems a little cosmetic in between some of the different things. And one of my favorite things is there's 2 different types of suppressors. There's a cylindrical one and a square one, and they're just, you can buy either or for some of your guns, and they're just purely cosmetic. There's no difference in either of them but I love that little touch. But the guns are good. They're varied. You got your pistols, your SMGs, your shotguns, your sniper rifles, your specials like your flamethrower, your slingshot, your bow and arrow, which is a personal favorite of mine. They have some fun ones in there too, like a 30-30 lever action, which is pretty fun to have like a repeater. That's fun. I really enjoyed that. They have a lot of cool kind of old westerny type of guns in there too. I'm trying to work my way up to getting one of these old kind of 44s, and yeah, and they all feel really good. The last game that I played like this that felt this good with gun combat specifically was Destiny 2, and shooting the shotgun in this game feels right. Like you sit people down for sure, and it feels very gratifying. And it all is amplified with a buddy or with one of your hired hands, or kind of like guns for hired or fangs for hire. And right now I have a few of those, but the one that I love the most is Boomer. Boomer is this wonderful dog companion that you save, and you see he's sad because his owners were killed by the cult, and he joins you. And what he can do is he can point out things. He can kind of mark people on your map like you would do with your binoculars, or for people who play Ghost Recon, it's like your drone, but much faster, which is great. And he will do that, but he'll also go and attack enemies. He will bring them down. He'll kill them. He might even get you a gun or ammo from time to time, and he will also revive you, which is really nice, because even when I'm playing with Joe, if we have Boomer out there, Boomer will come and revive me, and I absolutely love that. So Boomer, he's a 10 out of 10. I love him so much, and you guys know I'm a dog guy. I love dogs, so Boomer is definitely up there. But Cheeseburger, the grizzly bear, we'll see. We'll see if Cheeseburger can top Boomer there. Yeah, but I would recommend this game to anybody who is just looking for a fun time. It's a pretty big game, and from what I've heard, it sounds like if you were to run through just the story missions alone, you're probably looking at 25 to 30 hours. You're looking to double that probably if you're doing anything else, which this game, like previous games and other open world games, constantly sidetrack you with other side missions or hunting or fishing or all that stuff, which, by the way, the hunting, is kind of blasé. It's just, you're gonna go shoot animals, which I'm not a huge fan of. But thankfully in this game, you do not have to kill animals to get like a bigger wallet or like get bigger ammo pouches. That's great. That's gone, because in the last game, in Far Cry 4 specifically, that I played, you had to do that. You had to kill like a bunch of rhinos to get like a wallet or something. It was like, oh, this is horrible. But you could just sell their pelts in this game for money. So it's just for money. But fishing in this game is actually really, really fun. It's pretty challenging. And I was going after some of the bigger ones, these bigger paddlefish. And this is just kind of for fun. You do get money for selling the fish, but it's just a little game to, break up the game. I haven't even really gotten to play around with the arcade mode or anything else like that. Mostly just been sticking to co-op and hitting up the story mode. This game does have some flaws, though. It does have some glitches, specifically in co-op. We've found a few, but they're nothing game-breaking. It'll be something like, as my character loads into Joe's game, I'll get shot straight up into the sky. So I highly recommend picking up the parachute perk as quickly as you possibly can if you plan on playing co-op. Just a few weird things like that, but nothing really that bad. Sometimes you'll have enemies that glitch in and out after you shoot them. They'll like disappear, but pretty much open world things you see, some clipping and stuff like that. So nothing completely detrimental. So here it is. If you played any of the Far Cry games before, it's an easy buy. It's the same stuff you remember, just a little more refined. You're looking at the chain takedowns, the gunplay. It all feels the way it should. It's all mapped correctly on the button layout. So like if you know how to reload in one of those games, you know how to reload in this game. So it's really nice, and it's pretty easy to understand and get into it. But there seems to be a lot of complexity, and I love this new setting, setting of Montana. Not something that you focus on too much, Middle America in a AAA title game. And I like that because we get to tackle a new setting, especially for Far Cry, that seems to always go for the tropical or the foreign. But for me, this is more of like my backyard, a little bit more so, which I really appreciate. And I love that, and I love getting to see this world. And it's a very well-realized world. It really feels like you're there, and I really appreciate that. If you're on the fence about it, I would say if you enjoy first-person shooters, this one's pretty solid. It's pretty good. You're not going to have the same type of refinement, like to the exact extreme maybe as Destiny. It feels like just as good to me, but maybe not as much because it's not a competitive shooter. So you still have the twitchy shooting aspects of the game, but it's not the same completely. But it still feels really good, and the sound design in this game is so good. You shoot a rifle in a valley, you'll hear that thing echo. Also, the soundtrack for this game is so good. It's like hauntingly perfect at times with this banjo and this folk music, this country style, but also has a really good smattering of songs you might know. Like there's a Black Keys song in there, there's a Kaleo song, like there's some stuff in there that I really love, or Barracuda by Heart in there, when I just, with Joe in a semi-truck, using machine guns. I've got a shotgun. We're listening to Barracuda just barreling down the road. I mean, what's better than that? Just jolliness, just so much happy, fun times. But if you are not really into a slaughterfest, that's basically what this game is. You're primarily killing, not just animals, obviously, but mostly people, cultists, and like that's what the game is. You're trying to get rid of this cult, but they give you a reason to want to get rid of these people and to deal with them, because you tried to do it the right way, but then, like I said, now you gotta do it the correct way. Like, you can put that on the back of the box there, Ubisoft. So, it gets a recommendation from me. I don't have a full score for it yet. I will in about a week or two. Probably not 2 weeks, but like a week or so. I want to get through it and thoroughly address it. And I got this game just when everybody else got it. And I apologize for not having a full review out for it, but here we go. Here's what I think so far. So if you have any other questions, please just put them in the comments here, or you can tweet at me. I'm at JimmyGood013, or you can tweet at the Go Critical account, which is at Go Critical, capital G, capital C. Happy to answer any questions you guys have about the game, because I understand, you know, $64.20 some odd cents, which is like what the game costs with tax, at least here in America. That's a lot of money, and you don't want to spend that on something if you're not sure. But I can just tell you right now, it feels good, plays really well. Hard not to put a smile on my face most of the time, and playing with a friend makes it all the better. And the fact that you can play with them without as many restraints as you did in the past makes that even better to me. I love that. I want that for every Ubisoft game. I want that for every game. I think, look at Breath of the Wild and think of how cool that'd be with a buddy. But anyway, I digress. If you want to see any more thoughts on it, check out our podcast this coming week. We're going to talk about it on the Critical Podcast. We will dive into it even more so, because I kind of want to, you know, get into it, get Joe's thoughts, which I really appreciate too, because he's working on this review with me, so we can talk about all the ins and outs of it and be really thorough. Yeah, but thank you guys so much. If you want to support the show, consider sharing us with a friend, liking and subscribing, or the very last thing, please donate to us on patreon.com. That really helps. Even if it's $1, even if it's $2, we really do appreciate it. And you get some cool stuff in return, which does not limit you to just only getting some cool avatar art by the one and only Yorin Evers with your face on it. Yes, your face, not avatar like Pandora, but like avatar like an avatar, game avatar, but some other cool things as well. So thank you so much for stopping by. I really do appreciate it. And until next time, just remember to adapt and overcome.